Glenn, are we ready?
Good to go.
All right.
Recording in progress.
Glenn, do you know who those two phone numbers are?
Joe, Zanga is 1999.
Okay.
Yes.
And who's the other one?
And then that's, it's not the number, Lisa. I believe that's Nicole Longacre from, Donna's replacement.
Okay.
Or no, wait a minute.
NIL 117778.
Yeah.
Yes, that's me.
That's it then for folks on the phone.
Good to go, Chair.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Notice of this meeting was given by sufficient notice here with to the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Police, and the Jersey Journal. Did the say Park Police? I meant Park Press. I'm sorry, I can't shake that off. It's in my blood. Filing advance written notice of this meeting with the clerk administrator of each member and posting a copy of the meeting notice on the public bulletin board of all members. I direct the secretary to enter into the minutes of this meeting the advance written notice of this meeting at this statement. All right. So going over the agenda rather quickly, can I have a roll call?
Yes, Frank Polino. Ricardo Lanos. Harry Delgado.
Here.
Michael Drulis. Brandon is his alternate.
Yep, here.
Joseph Zanga.
Here.
Mayor Heck. Barbara Murphy.
Here.
Glenn Kurtz here. Scott Recant and Leon Sokol. Here.
Yes, here.
Joe Manzo. He said he was calling. Lisa Gallo.
I'm here.
And who else? I'm sorry, I didn't get the name.
Nicole Longacre. Longacre.
Okay, Jonathan Jaffe.
Here.
Sean Kelly.
Here.
Dominic Sinelli. Robin Rassiopi.
Here.
Aaron Waters.
Here.
Sean Walsh.
Here.
Micheline Miller.
Here. Michaeline, here.
Michaeline, I'm sorry. And Cindy Villagrand.
Here.
And Mr. Cradaville. Anybody else?
And the unknown number is, the unknown number is Charlie's other phone.
Oh,
Glenn, I don't think you included me.
I didn't call you? James Gote, sorry.
And also HFA.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have both Patty and Lauren. Very good.
Okay. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the May 22nd, 2024 open meeting minutes, as well as the approval of the May 22nd, 2024 closed meeting minutes.
Motion, Joe.
Second, Brandon?
I'm going to have to abstain. I wasn't here for the meeting.
All right.
I mean, I can make this a second, but I'm not gonna be able to vote on the.
Got it. All right. Okay,
All right.
that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Goldberg, abstain.
Yep.
Commissioner Zanga,
Yes.
Commissioner Delgado.
Yes. All right, moving right along to the reports of the executive director. Barbara, please.
Good afternoon. We are still working on the general ledger and the financials. And our hope is to have them completed by hopefully the end of the summer, and then we will be able to produce monthly reports. I have a lot of comments throughout the rest of the agenda as it relates to some of the financial issues and where we are with the audit and some other requests that we are from a detailed standpoint and informational that I'll comment on throughout the document. That's it.
Thank you. Administrator Glenn?
Yes, Chair, circulated in the report was your annual up-to-date loss history report. for the month of June, 2024 auto physical damage, 13 claims for 87,400. 2023, 43 claims for 192,000. Auto liability, 14 claims for 68,500. 2023, 58,043. On the GL side, 2024 still running good at 12 claims for 121,000. 2023, 70 claims for 608,000. Property damage, 2024, 7 claims of 43,000. 2023 of 79,000. Workers' comp, 2024, 58 total claims of 180,000, and 2023 running 147 claims at 980,960. Also, I gave everybody an update with respects to the deficit collection and how it's moving forward. And I can discuss that further in a closed session with respects to two resolutions we received with respects to moving forward with compliance. But data report is attached. Collections today in 2024 of $1,933,614.
Does that conclude your report, Glenn?
Yes, that concludes.
All right. Financial statements.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Robert,
Oh, is that Joe?
I don't know if you want me to do my finance report or you wait to doing the audit now. I'm in my car on my way home, so I don't have the agenda in front of me.
So I have here item number 3, financial statement as of 12/31/2022. The resolution 2024-17 certifying the review of the annual audit.
That's Patty and Lauren, and go ahead, girls, ladies, women.
Covered it all there. Have you?
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
All sorts of trouble.
Okay. So we finally have the 2022 audited financial statements. That was all distributed about a week ago. We'll start right in with our opinion. It appears on page 2. Glenn, were you going to share your screen or do you want me to? What?
Hold on, let me see if I can get it up. Maybe you can do it, no?
Yep. Hold on a second. Let me just get. Can you make me the host for a few minutes? Let's see if I can share my.
I say, Patty, I can share it too, if that makes it
Oh,
easier.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to talk and then I
Yep.
can,
Perfect.
all right, so if you want to allow multiple people to share.
Hold on, Lauren. Why don't I see you, Lauren? Where the hell am I? Oh, here you are.
You guys see your financial statement, right?
Yes.
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 Perfect. All right,
Okay.
Patty, go ahead, take it away.
All right. So you want to go to page 9 of 186, Lauren? Okay, so this is our basic financial statement opinion. It is what we call an unmodified opinion. So if you look at the second paragraph there, you can see in our opinion, the financial statements refer to the above present fairly in all material respects in relationship to the fund as of December of 22 and 21, and the respective changes in financial position for the year end in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards. Our basis for our opinion is that we're following what we call GAS, generally accepted accounting principles, government auditing standards as issued by the Comptroller General, and as well as the standards prescribed by DOBE. Okay. The opinion goes on to talk about your responsibilities as management, and on the next page, all of our responsibilities for the audit And then required supplemental schedules in the back, which you know that we do not opine on, and then supplementary information. And of course, we issue a second opinion in reference to governmental auditing standards, which is on the next page, page 12. And again, this is going through the internal controls of the organization. And as we go through the internal controls and we're testing internal controls, we're noting whether or not we come across any deficiencies in internal controls.
Okay.
Oops. You okay? We're good?
Yes, I tell you, someone was waving at me here. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so again, we're looking to see if we have any, have uncovered any material weaknesses or what we call significant deficiencies. And in this case, the last paragraph that you see there, there's a whole, there's about 7 reference numbers that we'll get to at the end of the document, but we consider these to be material weaknesses, several of which were repeat comments from the prior year and or updated from the prior year. Okay, so if we go right into page 18 of 186, you're going to see your statement of net position.
Better, a little bigger.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so your total assets and deferred outflows for the year, 31,322 versus 8.123 million. It's an increase of $23 million or over 200% increase. Significant numbers that I'm going to zero in on here. So your cash and cash equivalent is up $1.9 million. Again, when we go through the cash flow statement, you'll see the components of what make up that increase during the year. Your assessment receivables, again, those are your current member assessments for 2022. At the end of the year, there were $63,000 still looking to be collected. Subsequent to year end, that represented 5 members' balances. And subsequent to year end, you didn't collect very much of that through the first quarter of 24, which was the last time that Joe provided a schedule for me of the update. So through 24, basically it was still sitting there about the $60,000. Your supplemental assessment from the prior year was the 2.097 that was assessed at the end of 21 or during 21, now sits at 1,085,000 at the end of 22. And subsequent to year end, you've collected the majority of that as well. Your excess claims receivable was $5.0 million, where it's down to 796. That included the Hurricane Ida funding as well, 3.5 that you collected during the year in 2022. And there's a small $796,000 sitting there. And then you have your deficit assessment, the 2000 to 2020 receivable. That was the $27.7 million. It was brought down by $1.185 million during 22. And if subsequently there have been payment plans set up for the majority of those that have outstanding balances, and I know that you are all aware, working on trying to get Millstone to pay to hopefully trickle down to everybody else, and or trying to get the individuals to borrow from the Mel and start making payments during the year. Glenn and Joe have provided us with schedules, and Scott as well, as to those that have agreed to make the payments. Some are on the schedule right in accordance with what you had set up as to what you wanted them to pay currently, and they are right on target. Others haven't paid anything at all, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. Your prepaid expenses there was a 20% deposit for excess liability insurance for 2023. They required that deposit, and that was World Insurance Associates. And then you have your deferred outflows below there, that 4629. Again, that's in accordance with the GASB calculations and what's being paid for New Jersey PERS, what is owed. That is there. You want to go down a little bit, Lauren?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your accounts payable, your total current liability is 33.9 versus 35 in the prior year. It's down $1.2 million or 4%. Your non-current liabilities, 820 and 647 the prior year. Again, those are all the GASB calculations from the New Jersey State PERS program. So that's all in accordance with what the state has assessed you at your portion that is due. As it relates to accounts payable, the majority of that was in the prior year was that $3.5 million. That was the Hurricane Ida money that came in early but needed to be paid out. A lot of that was paid out during the current year, and then additional accounts payable in the current year has now appeared. Majority of that, let's see, we've got 2.9 million still of that 3.3 still related to Hurricane Ida claims that are still to come in, but that Chubb had provided you with the funding. So you have that sitting in the accounts, as well as the liability to pay those out when the claims get approved. And then there's about $411,000 worth of general and administrative claims there as well. The IBNR all years and the case reserves, again, both are actuarially calculated. And like Barbara had said, I think at our last meeting, they look like they flip-flopped a little bit. Basically, the net change there, the IBNR went down $5.2 million and the case reserves are up 4.5 for a net of roughly about $700,000 change together. We talked about the net pension liabilities, and then at the bottom there, we've got the deferred inflows, again, related to the pension, the 200,000 and the 521, coming down to your net position. Again, your total assets minus your liabilities equal your unrestricted net position. And this year, $3.6 million, and add together the liabilities plus the net position and those deferred outflows, you get the 31.322 that you see above in the assets. Going to page 19. Again, it's your combined statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. Your member assessments and contributions of $35 million there consist of $7.8 million of the current member assessment during 2022, as well as the 2000 to 2020, $27.7 million that was approved. And then you have excess insurance claims received as well, about $49,000 worth of payments coming in for a grand total of the 35.3. In the prior year, the 15 million was 9.9 million of member assessments, 2.097 of the special assessments, and then excess assessments were 3.4, and then you had some sub rows in there for about 200,000, totaling that $15 million number that you have there. The provisions for claims and claims adjustments, we see a swing of negative 2.2. And as we talk about the IBNR and the case reserves, as they swing around, the actuary calculates how much is owed, compare that to the prior year, and that differential, whether it's an increase or decrease, flows through this along with the claims that were paid during the year. Your premiums on insurance were 2.1 million versus 5.2 million in the prior year. It's a decrease of about $3 million, and that savings was basically what you saw while you were participating in the MEL. And going on there, we've got salaries and wages decrease. Again, we had some decreases, requested pay cuts that were taking place during the year, and then also Ed Testino retired. So that basically was the majority of that decrease that you see there. Your fringe benefits, there were some changes in the provider that you use from switching from Oxford to Horizon, as well as the GASB entry for the pension contribution flows through there as well. So that's why you see that significant change. Other expenses are down, and I guess this is where GRMA's fees are, and the negotiated decrease in the fees is what we saw there as we go through and vouch those expenses. And then coming down, the next biggest swing that you see there is the state audits and appraisals, and those are all the fees that were paid and or accrued for the state examinations performed by Sean. And coming down, let's see, your TPA, again, these are pretty small changes there. We have an increase again in your general counsel fees for all the work that they're doing on behalf of the JIF. The actuary, we have a significant increase in the actuary's fees, again, based on timing of when she sent bills over, and then additional work that was done from the actuary. So in the 2022 year, there was a 22 funding analysis that was done, some allocations and cash flow projections that were done as a special request. So that's what there's an increased fee there. Our auditor's fee, again, last year's audit, well, we all know ran over based upon just getting the information, the format of the trial balance, the situation of what we were dealing with, and obviously the crux of all the comments. We had an increase in fee. We didn't accrue that in the prior year. You paid that during the 2023 year. So we accrued for that in 22. So that's why you see the significant increase there. And then the other expenses coming down pretty much flat between the 2 years. So your total operating expenses, 10.6 million versus 16.1 million. That, offset by your revenue. And again, the majority of the revenue due to the $27 million assessment. shows you an operating income this year of 24.6 million versus the negative 494,000. You had some small amount of interest income during the year on your cash accounts, and then miscellaneous income 15,109, and that was a refund that was received from your health insurance related to 2020. Actually, it was a dividend that was received. So your overall change in net position 24.6 versus the 489 negative. Add that to the opening net position, and then any changes for prior period adjustments. And again, we'll talk about the prior period adjustment that was made during the year. Brings you down to your net position at the end of the year of negative 3,696 versus the 28.2 million in the prior year. And when I talk about the prior period adjustment there, during the year, we were just about ready well, we issued a draft about 2 months ago. And in going through that draft, and Glenn and I and Joe and Lauren working through the revenue during the year, there was a miscommunication on the amount of money that was owed from the New Brunswick Board of Education, whether or not when we walked in the door, it was sitting in the receivable. As we inquired, they said they didn't know the funds. Then we did a huge research, and Sean got involved as well, and came up with the fact that they did pay, they overpaid. And the reason why they overpaid was because back in 2015, they were charged a full year's worth of revenue, or full year's worth of billing, as if they were in the JIF for the entire year, when in fact they were in a half a year in the JIF. So that continued to flow year to year. And then when we were looking for their $374,000 that was supposed to be due and payable, it was apparently prepaid in prior years, and it did not appear that it was collectible. So we had to reinstate that. And then as Sean had done his due diligence with Joe and Glenn, went back and found out that the issue started in 2015, and there was another issue back pretty much in 2017 and another one in 2020. And again, the $84,000 that we recognize in the current year was pushed back to 2020, and we had spent a significant amount of time trying to get the logistics of what actually happened with the New Brunswick Board of Education and their payments. They were on a fiscal year, you're on a calendar year. When they were paying, they thought they were paying in advance. At points, Joe was recording it as a deferral, and Samuel Klein kept reclassifying it as income. So that's kind of how it got recorded as income in a prior year when it should not have. The bottom line effect there was we brought in the correct amount of money during the current year for 22. We reduced the 2015 for New Brunswick for the overpayment, and then we adjusted the $84,000 difference between those two periods during 2020 prior to when we came on board, because 21 was clean and 22 is now clean. Any questions on that?
Questions from Patty?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Wait,
Did I
did you
hear
say,
question?
did
Yeah,
you say
question.
questions or no questions?
No, do you have any questions? Anyone? No? All right, we're not taking action on it.
You're muted,
You
Harry.
just muted yourself.
So we're not taking action on the review of the audit.
Correct, not
Okay.
today.
And there are no questions, so I certainly appreciate the presentation. It was very informative, Patty. You certainly answer a lot of questions that we have been seeking for, so appreciate it. So
Lauren, can you send back the post?
say that again.
Oh, yes.
Oh. Well, when that takes place, I'd like to move on to the Chief Financial Officer. Is Joe available now? I know he was in his car. Joe, are you available? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip it and we'll come back to him and we'll go right.
He's muted.
I'm good. I had myself on mute while Lauren and Patty were talking.
Are you ready?
Yep. So
ahead.
Glenn should have distributed my one-page financial for the 2024 budget activity. I want to make one suggested change that I'll have for the next month. When I've been getting the bills from the attorney, they've been categorizing them. Actually, when I get the bill list from Glenn for the attorney's bills, I've been categorizing There are three categories: general counsel, special counsel, and litigation. I had been under the false assumption, again, on my assumption, that the litigation line dealt specifically with all the work and collection efforts that they have done for the deficit. But that was incorrect, as Glenn told me this morning. The litigation line is specifically for the MCUA and I guess for Millstone now. Their categorization on their bills for special counsel is their work on the deficit, separate and apart from litigation work. So for the next month, I'm going to have 3 lines on the budget report for attorney's fees, regular old, attorney's fees, deficit assessment work, and then litigation. So I'll break that out going forward. Glenn's already talked about our deficit assessment collection through yesterday. We got a check, I guess, from Highland Park, right? They paid us, right, Glenn? Right.
Yeah.
So we got through the Highland Park payment. I'll just mention, just for the commissioners, that the 2024 second assessment is due by June 30th. We still have 2 members who need to make that payment, and they may already be in the process. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows we've collected all the other members' assessments except for 2. So at this point, we're pretty flush with cash based on those collections. And that's my report, Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Safety and loss control, Secretary.
Good afternoon. We have some training scheduled for the city of New Brunswick on August 6th, PPE, October 1st, blackout tagout training. And we're proceeding to submit all the right to know surveys prior to the July 15th deadline. That is proceeding on a very good pace. We just made the reservation with the Brunswick Parking Authority, and I believe that's going to be the last member that has to be submitted. But we will make sure that all the documentation that follows is also submitted in a timely manner. We had a meeting with PIOSH senior staff last Friday. There were 3 issues that were brought up by PIOSH that I think may be of interest to the members, to the board members. Number 1, PIOSH and OSHA are considering heat stress to be a national emphasis hazard to all employers. As a result, there's a regulatory bill from PIOSH going through Trenton right now, where they're looking at heat stress levels as a significant issue that is going to require a standard and is going to require employers to conduct awareness training, install engineering controls, provide administrative controls, and part of the bill is also talking about a stop work order based on the heat conditions. I believe that some of this may still be subject to public comments, so if you have an interest in that respect, you may want to look it up and make a comment, because it's fairly aggressive, and some of the things that are being suggested to be included in the bill. And OSHA is doing this the same thing on a national. So there is a serious concern that something will be put in place that will require the members to comply with the new standard. The second thing is that the worker representative, up to now, if you have a PIOSH OSHA inspection, one of the things that people ask for is worker representation, a union representative, someone, a lawyer, anybody, in case the employee, especially if there was a complaint, in case the employee is not comfortable going by himself if they're identified as part of the inspection group. It is now a law that a worker representative must be made available unpaid time for the duration of the inspection and the meetings that follow thereafter to verify that everything has been properly documented as far as employee conditions or employee complaints. The third item is kind of interesting in that OSHA is joining up with EPA, and they're looking to upgrade all the emergency response programs that both agencies require to be in site. So one of the things that they're concerned about is accident prevention, emergency preparedness, changes to any public exposure that may be resulting as a result of a spill or an accident within the employer's realm. The workers' exposure is also something that EPA is getting into. And from what I've seen, for example, with silica, methylene chloride, some of the other chemicals, the PEL, the permissible exposure limit or level for these contaminants has been significantly reduced, as in making the allowable exposure to be significantly less than what was there before. So you may want to take a look if you have certain potentially hazardous chemicals on your site. You may be seeing things from EPA, DEP, and PIOSH coming your way to try to minimize any potential worker exposure in the workplace. One of the things that they're looking at, to give you an idea, is, for example, if you have a welder, you're looking at a welding rod, potentially it doesn't cause any chemical problems while it's in its stationary state. But once you start welding fumes become a problem. So they want you to address issues like that to try to minimize that exposure, ensure that the employees are protected during the use of these chemicals, and make sure that you document any training or any kind of assistance that you provide them. Anyone, there were a lot of other things, but those are like the key things. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to address it.
Thank you, Mr. Gute. At this point, I'm going to skip Madam Chair just for 1 second to allow Jonathan to take his turn. He's available because he's got another commitment he's got to run to. All right, so
Looks like he's
John-
running now.
say that again.
It looks like he's running now. He's on his way.
No, I know. Some of us are. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Anyway, I wanted to just do a quick update on the website. As we all know, it's been a project for the first half of this year to get the site redesigned and then to get it updated. We've been working with Glenn, we've been working with Barbara and others to make sure that all the financials are correctly there. This is an ongoing process. There's a lot of old information that was on the site that we don't need on the former site, and there's also some stuff that needs to be on there. So we've been working closely and collaboratively, and my goal and intention is if everything's updated now, it'll be updated in the next few weeks. The important thing to note about this new website is it's not something that we, JIF Communications, it's not just us that can update it. It's a very simple site that we deliberately put together so that we can provide training for others to use the site, to go on it. They're going to find that it's very intuitive. If you know Microsoft Word, you can be a web designer on this site. It's important to get the site completely 100%, and that's the focus. Regarding news, we've been seeing a lot of stories over the summer about related to the heat and climate change and that type of thing. And it was interesting to note that with the OSHA regulations regarding heat, and it would be interesting to get a story about how the JIF is making sure that municipal workers are being safe this summer, and that there's protections regarding heat. So that's something I'd like to drill down on. If you read any of the local media, they love writing stories about the weather. And I think that we could jump on that story of the day and do a good story about how the JIF is being proactive. So I see that as our next story opportunity. And Harry, that's what I have for my report.
Thank you, Jonathan. I certainly agree. So we're looking forward to see a draft of, your next article. So thank you very much. And I believe you need to go. Okay, we'll see you later. Well, with that said, I'd like to return to managed care. Lisa, please.
My name is Nicole Longacre. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be doing your report today. Your savings and penetration report is located on page 15 of your agenda packet. Fall Care repriced 59 bills for the month of May with a great network utilization rate of 95%. The total charges are reflected at $85,377, with the allowable charges being noted at $43,597. This equates to a total savings of $41,780, or 49%. We have the total intake cases for the month set at 7, with 4 requiring additional medical intervention and 3 remaining as report only. Also included in the managed care summary this month is a savings by fund year report, which is located on page 17 of your agenda packet. This report is generated using the same savings data utilized in the summary. However, this report breaks down your total bills and charges for the month by the associated fund year. Finally, we've included an updated contact list for your reference. I believe that is on page 14. You will find all of your contacts there. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me.
If I could just add on page 17 of 19, I asked for that report to be included because I think it's a good exercise to go through and continually look at things based on fund year. So while the numbers don't change from the previous page, this will show you that we had bills that came in the month of May covering 7 fund years, including the current year, and then the breakdown on the number of bills as well as the repricing. So it's a good report to kind of keep things in perspective as it relates to each fiscal year.
Thank you, Barbara. And Nicole, I apologize that I didn't have the name change on my agenda. So thank you for your
worries.
Thank you. At this point, we move on to all business.
None today.
Okay. Any new business?
Not today, no.
Thank you. Public comment. Do we have any member of the public that desires to address the board today?
Yes, please.
Ma'am.
Charlie Cradaville, can you hear me?
Yeah, Charlie, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, great. First, I wanted to ask about the plan for in-person meetings or an in-person option for the meetings. If I recall, there were supposed to be some. I know there was one, and now we're back on Zoom. Is there a new plan? The website seems to have conflicting information on this.
Well, Charlie, I wouldn't say it's conflicting. I mean, as you can tell, I mean, many of us are out in the field today. So today was a necessity, but we certainly anticipate another in-person meeting. In fact, I would offer, the parking authority as a site to meet again in person.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be clear because I know the website says that the JIF meets remotely once a month, but then when you click on that, it takes you to the meeting schedule, and it says that its public meetings are at 1 Jokama Boulevard in Old Bridge. I also know in the county building, there's a legal notice posted that says the meetings are in Old Bridge. So if there's a change, the change needs to be communicated in the same places that the old information is. But I'll move on to Millstone. Is it true that there's litigation with Millstone now? Can anybody brief me on what the prompted that and what the status is of them? This is the Millstone.
Yeah, I can do that, Chairman. The fund has brought a suit against Millstone for its failure to pay the supplemental assessment for the years that it was a member, 2004 to 2018. The matter is pending in Superior Court. And various motions have been filed by both Millstone and by the fund, which are being briefed, with briefs being exchanged. And ultimately, the court will make a determination on the various motions, and the case will either be decided or go forward.
Okay, and is Millstone still a member?
No, there's some confusion. There is a borough of Millstone, which is a member, and this is Millstone Township, which is a former member.
Got it. The former member, Millstone.
Yeah, this is, it's a peculiarity of New Jersey, where we have 4 Washingtons. We also have
Right.
2 Millstones.
Okay. And on the MCUA, is there an update on that litigation that you can share?
Only that there's no pending litigation. The complaints were withdrawn with an agreement, a tolling agreement that says that if we cannot come to a settlement, the MCUA will not claim any statute of limitations defenses. And we have been providing information to the MCUA that they say they require in order to come to a conclusion on settling or litigating. So we're still in that process.
Got it. Thanks. And I missed the last meeting, so forgive me if I missed this update, but anything you can share on that New Brunswick councilman case? Is there any movement or change? It seems it's been stagnant for a year and a half now.
From our perspective, there has not been, no.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess the final topic I wanted to address is road safety and city vehicles. I know I spoke about this last time I addressed the board, and I'm concerned about New Brunswick and their sort of slew of crashes involving city vehicles. I think I mentioned February 2nd, there was a crash involving a city vehicle where the driver of the vehicle was issued summonses, including one for either being unregistered or unlicensed. I also know we had a fire truck into a traffic light crash on March 6th. I know we've had a number of police vehicles involved in crashes, and also concerned because leadership comes from the top, and we have a city council member who got in a crash while intoxicated, driving recklessly, facing charges for it, and damaged city property. And that's something that we're dealing with as a city now. And I know that last time I brought this up, you mentioned that there were some like model policies or suggested policies you have, but you don't mandate your members actually adopt them. I was just curious if there's been any thought to, strengthening those or mandating those, and what can we do to limit the auto liability here in New Brunswick? Because it just seems like every month there's significant losses, and doesn't look like it's moving in the right direction. I know I had brought up the fire director's crashes before. At least now he's no longer able to drive city vehicles, but what can we do to limit this? Has anybody given any thought to this?
I don't have any comment on those issues. So if our legal counsel don't have any advice, then Charlie, I think that it's an issue we're gonna have to address at a different time.
Charlie, what we will do is we'll make your comments available to the city. Should respond. This is not an insurance issue. What you're raising are issues involving the city, and we'll refer it to the city to respond directly to you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I would appreciate some more dialogue with the city, because I know I've reached out and they've sort of given me we've told you everything we're going to tell you, so don't even bother asking anymore. So I hope that, we can have more dialogue, and if the JIF can prompt that or facilitate that, or at least let them know that I'm coming here and complaining too. I know Mr. Goldberg hears me, but yeah, I'd appreciate any further dialogue on this, because I think there is room for improvement. And yeah, I appreciate you all hearing me out today, and look forward to seeing you on the next meeting, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other member of the public that would like to address here today? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting and move on to or entertain a motion for a closed session for claims and potential litigation. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second, Joe.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Zanga,
Yes.
Commissioner Delgado.
Yes. Okay.
When do you need us?
No, you could jump off, Jim.
Thank you.